Well, if it did go live, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream, the MEDCAST. Today we have Steven Zapata.
Hi, yeah.
Oh, wait, is it live? It is live, okay.
Okay, good.
We're going to
We're
let
live.
this run for a little bit so we can check the audio, so bear with us.
Yeah, I'm very curious as to. It's starting. I have to mute it.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right, so now we're good. Those of you in the comments and the chat, let us know if you can hear us. Is one louder than the other, etc., blah, 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 blah.
I would assume so because you have a real microphone and I have my earbuds.
Yeah, Omar, it's good to see you. Well, I'm not seeing you, but hi.
Hi, Omar. Hello, sir. This is how you signify sir.
Yeah.
Universal sign for sir.
All right,
Omar
so
knows sign language now, so.
nobody's responding really. But anyway, so are you guys? Oh, so they're saying the ear is good. All right, cool. What's up? Today we're going to be talking about some cool stuff. This is a live stream. It's been 10 months since I talked to this guy on the internet via webcam. And that was actually the first episode of my channel. So 10 months ago I started it. And 10 months later we're at MEDCAST 10. Cool. That lined up perfectly.
That's a big gap. That's a gap of 9.
Anyway, so what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be drawing some robots, some mechs. I'm not sure what Steven's going to do. And we're going to talk about the expectations of the industry and just generally art, and that versus the outside of the box thinking and how that leads to creativity, etc. If we even get to all that. And I know a lot of you are on the forums that are joining the SketchFit challenge, etc. But there's also a sketchbook thread. We'll put the link on that later in the description. But in the sketchbook thread, we have a new sticky, and I think I'm going to have Steven talk about that. Steven?
Sure. So the new sticky, which is very sticky indeed, is the themed weekly thread. So this is something that Med and I had talked about, and we thought it was a good idea. And, it's nothing new. A lot of the art forums have had it before. But basically, it's to give you like a launching pad if you know you want to draw, you know you want to create, you know you want to output something, but you get caught in that cycle where you're like, I don't know what to do. Should I do a study? Should I do a personal piece? Should I draw my dog? Should I learn about buildings or something? And you just totally like burn out on making a choice. The thread just gives you a theme that you can work in, and you know that other people are doing it, which is like that little extra boost of motivation, because you know that you're going to be doing something that like other people are doing too, and they feel is relevant, and they've been thinking about. I think it's good. Oh, and the first theme is warrior spirit.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited to see what happens with all that. Now, if you'll give me a moment, I want to share my screen, so I'm going to start drawing. Do you know what you want to... Are you going to be drawing, by the way?
Sure, yeah, I'll draw.
I lost my Google Hangouts. Oh, there it is. Found it.
I'll do.
Click share
I'll
screen.
do something warrior spirity. Why not? Because there I was about to say I don't know what to draw, and I just did a little pontificating on what to do then. So I have to take my own advice.
Now my screen's sharing. But maybe if I could. See, I'm using 2 laptops, so maybe would that work? And is that what they see on the YouTubes? Okay, cool. Yeah, they get to see my little logo in the bottom right. Anyway, cool. So I'm just gonna get right into it before I start really.
You're drawing mechs, you said, right?
Yeah, little robots. Did you know that it's the March of Robots this month?
The March of Robots? What's that?
So, like Inktober for October, for March there's the March of the Robots, and on Instagram you can draw a little robot every day.
Oh.
Post it. And it's actually for a contest being held by Chocolate Scoop or something, whatever his name is. But you can win Wacom products, like the new Intuos, which looks pretty cool, totally different. It's got this cool little grid thing. So that's pretty cool.
That's intense. No. Hey, how are you sharing your screen and also showing your face?
You see, I have a laptop that's showing my face.
Oh, that's right. You're doubling up.
Because this is the cameraman. That's where it's happening.
Good.
Man, on the YouTube thing, it looks like it's frozen.
Might be taking a little bit. It seems to be lagging behind a little bit. I had my other eye on it, and it seems to be a few
Weird.
seconds behind. Needs a minute to catch up.
It's yes, it will be uploaded to yeah, so Savani wants me to draw mechs. And yeah, okay, so they can see my screen. I'm just gonna go ahead and make a big old scribble.
Big old scribble. I'm going to share my screen as well then, which is good for everyone because then they don't have to look at my face. Or I could...
Oh. So whoever is talking, that's whose screen it will go to.
So I should say nothing so that it doesn't go away from your screen.
Sure. No. Okay. Anyway, expectations.
Open up these.
Why don't you go ahead and draw, and I'll click on your thing, so people can watch you draw. Okay, now it's on your screen. It's not going to switch to anyone.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and talk about the stuff, and then
Okay.
while you talk, I'll switch back. So yeah, the main topic is about creativity and expectations, etc. And I'm saying this from the perspective as somebody who, went to art school, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to try to list off my resume, but, we face a lot of difficulties trying to make art, and then we get a lot of we develop a lot of assumptions. So when we do art, when you're drawing something, when you're painting or whatever, and especially if you're going to post it online, we assume that the people want to see something specific. There's an expectation. Right, and it's often based on what already exists. It's not always bad, but it can be detrimental to your creative spirit if you just rinse and repeat. I mean, if you look at most movies today, it's really kind of dry. I mean, it's still enjoyable, but there's always something more when they take a unique spin on something and go outside of the box. Like Christopher Nolan. So yeah, it's usually based on what works. So it forces you to kind of plan. You will try to plan and predict your creative outcomes, and that's really stifling. And even though we know that thinking outside the box often results in creative innovation, we often instead, though, stay inside the safe box of expectations. So in this box, you have these fears, worries, and sort of it's pretty much the safe zone. Like, okay, that works, I'll just do that again. And so for me, how did this affect me? I guess, so a couple of you do know that I work as a concept artist at ArenaNet, so we do Guild Wars. I can't really talk about what I do exactly, but at first, when I first started there, I had this strange inherited assumption that I was supposed to be doing work that was expected, that was inside the box, that was already done, and I was just kind of like not accessing my full creativity. And it wasn't until I ditched that way of thinking of like, oh, I'm supposed to do what they want or something. It wasn't until I ditched that I started finally doing really good work that resonated with everybody, the art directors and the other artists and the people making the game. And so, but again, for some reason, I was holding on to that safe zone, assuming that that's what I was supposed to do. And so, Steven, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about, and if you want to talk, oh, is that like a slug warrior?
Totally. Like a big old slug warrior with like 1,000 legs. Disgusting. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So if you have any thoughts,
yeah, I think everybody has gone through the war of expectations at some point, and it's really hard to break out of it, especially when you're working in a studio or when you're doing work that you feel has high stakes or that is supposed to be important or that people are like supposed to like. And I think that we've all gotten caught in that while working and found very quickly that we totally botched it because we weren't just doing it. Like, we weren't just doing what was fun, or we were talking ourselves out of ideas that had that initial rush of, oh man, that's so cool, but that wouldn't work. No one wants to see that. You kind of
Exactly.
start self-editing a little too early, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
That's yeah.
please go ahead after you.
And that's exactly what has held me back for so long. I've talked about it previously in a couple of videos, and being able to let go of that, I haven't let go of it completely because I still, even for like YouTube, for Instagram, whatever, I don't think you can really experience not doing that until you just kind of take the audience out of the equation for a little bit and step outside of it and it's got a message from Carly. Step outside of it for a little bit and then go back in after you've sort of rediscovered what it is that you actually like. I mean, recently in my most recent video, I wasn't trying to bash concept art, but I guess some people perceived it to be that. But you know, I always enjoyed comic art, and you know me, I was always pushing that dynamic, character, color, all this fun stuff.
Totally.
But there's this almost dogmatic idea that you're supposed to draw, a perspective line here, and then draw a line for the third here. Have at least 20 mountains in the distance, and then 3 layers of that. You have the mountains. Now you got to get the spear guy in the foreground, and make sure he's in the silhouette so that he's mysterious and dark and gloomy. And it's funny, I actually kind of did a troll video. I just did a landscape painting. I titled it generic landscape, and it's just that. I was like, how do I put together the most generic, most expected, typical thing, at least from my point of view of how I felt about that entry-level concept art stuff, and that's what came out of it. I'm sure I offended someone.
I don't think anyone was offended by that. I actually saw it near the end of the day before I left the office.
Yeah, did you see the description?
Yes, yes. Very clever of you. How tongue-in-cheek. Very funny, but as much as you tried to be generic, it was a good piece on its own. So, you avoided the pitfalls.
I was trying to make it bad on purpose.
It didn't work. Your color was too strong. It showed through. You had to keep it gray. You forgot you forgot one of the most important parts of the generic landscape, which is that it is very, very gray.
I couldn't resist.
Couldn't resist juicing it up.
Yeah. All right. So then there's these expectations. So we covered that. But we also know that out there is some genuine creativity. So how do you get there? And I was thinking about it. I did a little whiteboarding session for myself, trying to block out why I feel this way. Why am I keeping myself from being creative? And I came up with these 2 lists. So there's the expectations list, and then what does it take? What does it feel like to be doing something creative while thinking outside the box? And so doing that, it's a lot of risk taking. You have to allow yourself to be in a state of vulnerability, and you sort of approach something with curiosity, right? And you want to be in a state of wonder instead of trying to plan and predict every single little outcome. Like, oh well, I have to make sure it reaches. I have to make sure it looks like this, and that because some other artist hit those points, so my art is supposed to look like theirs, right? But the reality is, in order to have something unique or original, you can't plan, you can't predict the specific outcomes. And in a way, it's scary, but it's also, that's the beautiful part of it. You trust the process. You trust the process, and you give yourself room to give creative input as it's happening. So instead of, let's say you're going to do character design, instead of saying, well, I'm going to make sure that it looks beautiful on purpose or something, or I'm going to make sure it's good enough, or all these negative thoughts, I consider them to be negative because they're stifling. Instead of that, you sort of approach it saying, okay, here's the first line, and then you allow yourself to feel it out by saying, okay, so what do I naturally feel about the next move is, and that's where you start putting creative input. And of course there are, there's a level of skill that you have to kind of acquire before doing that. You can't do a drawing of a building without understanding perspective. So you do have to do that type of training before you kind of also, like with character design, you have to know anatomy, proportions and all that stuff. But once you have a decent understanding of how to do that, that's when you allow yourself to take that vulnerability and put the creative input as it's happening. And what ends up happening is you have fun with it, right? And if you have fun with something, people look at it and they resonate with it, versus something that's just a copy of somebody else's style or somebody else's content. And of course, this is all assuming that you want your art to connect with people. If not, this point doesn't really, well, it doesn't and shouldn't matter. And there are, of course, reasons of why we fear leaving that, box of expectations. We fear that risk and vulnerability. But before that, I'm going to see if Steven wants to add his 2 cents.
Yeah, there's a difficult balance there between process and letting go and knowing certain rules, like the ones that you mentioned, like anatomy and perspective, just enough that they don't hinder you and throw you off, but just enough that they kind of let you go free. I mean, if you hear a lot of the old masters and the old illustrators, well, not hear them, but if you read their materials, a lot of them talk about how your skills are not there to limit you, but are really there to let you be free and express your ideas as clearly as you could want. Now, like I said, that's a slippery slope because it's very easy to totally fall back on that and not be able to let go. And I think that something that's really useful a lot of the time for breaking out of that or realizing when you're getting stuck is switching up your process completely, so that you really have to be honest with yourself about how much you believe you can save something just on your own merits, just based on what you know and how much you can get into your work. If you change it up completely, if you just do something totally different, if you only do digital and you do traditional for a while, if you only do traditional and you try digital, if you draw with a whole new media, if you approach your piece a completely different way, a lot of the time that will give you the boost and the distance from your process to realize that maybe you're falling back on these expectations again, the expectations of how you're supposed to do things, what kind of work you as a person are supposed to be making, instead of just trusting that however things go and however bad it gets, there's something beyond all of that, being you and your creativity, that you can use to save the whole big mess that you made.
Right. And you recently sort of did something I think to be pretty smart, in that you sort of avoided looking at a lot of art that's already out there, so you can kind of exist in your own world. So how did that go?
Oh yeah, I mean, that was a, and it still is. I'm still doing it, but
Oh, okay, smart.
how to explain that? Well, basically, I was going through a phase that I think a lot of us go through at some point, which is I was rapidly consuming art. I mean, everything, Facebook, stuff on ArtStation, anything that I could pull off of Instagram, all that. And I've always been a very big consumer of art. I've always been very into looking at work and looking at a lot of it and digging up new work and looking for artists that I'm not familiar with. And I don't really remember how it happened, but one day I started stepping back from what I was doing and how I was feeling about the art I was making and what I was going through in the most fundamental way, and I realized that I was having a really negative reaction to a lot of the art that I was consuming. I was getting beat up, I was feeling really insecure, and
Yo, somebody beating you up?
there was someone physically beating me up most of the time. But besides that, I was also just being really hard on myself.
Yo, was it Tommy?
It was Tommy, yeah.
How's he doing, man?
He's good. He's good. I had dinner with him last week. Yeah,
I heard he's like an art director now.
He is. He is. I don't know how much of that I can talk
Oh,
about or
oh,
reveal,
I mean,
but
he's just yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty safe to say that that project that he's on is going well, and that he did a lot of work for it that was maybe above and beyond the call, and that they are recognizing him for that, which is always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But
Okay.
yeah, so I realized I was having a really negative like ego reaction to a lot of that stuff.
Same.
And it really started to affect me when I realized that like I couldn't just draw for a very long time, because as soon as I started working, the only thoughts that were filling my head were, well, is the surface effect of this equivalent to so and so on Facebook, and am I really starting the right way? And just like all this running nonsense that wasn't producing anything productive. And I did a bunch of things to try and combat it. And then eventually I got really desperate and I said, I need to stop looking at art completely for a while. And I did. And yeah, I think I must have gone probably close to a whole month on full deprivation. Like I didn't.
That's amazing, dude.
It was pretty nuts. Like I didn't look at anyone else's piece of art for about that long, I think. And then after that, and I'm still kind of going through it, I started weaning myself back on.
Okay.
But I didn't like refollow everyone on Instagram, and I didn't like re-add everyone on Facebook. Oh yeah, when I started, I went down my Facebook. I went down my Facebook, I went down my entire newsfeed, and I manually unfollowed everybody so that my newsfeed was empty.
Dude, when you told me that, I did the same thing. Now it's just like a feed of all these random people from like Eastern Europe that have added me. I have no idea who these people are.
Nice. Yeah, my feed was just my family. Just like
Nice.
the 3 posts a week my family would make, and then nothing, just blank.
Yo,
But
but let's rewind for a second. You said you. I remember when you did this, you unfollowed a bunch of people on Instagram, and one of those people was me.
I did,
So
yeah.
this is so. Are you following me back now? What's going on?
No, I am not following you on Instagram right
God,
now.
I'm about to hit 40,000. You could be the one person.
If
To,
you can tell me the moment to follow you to be 40,000, I would happily do it. But if you can't get that specific, maybe I won't.
that's
Maybe I won't.
impossible.
Maybe I won't.
Uh,
Yeah.
somebody. I forgot to. I should probably put in the description who the guest is. The guest is Steven Zapata. I'll introduce you again. Steven Zapata is one of my good friends down in LA. I met him at Art Center College of Design in the entertainment design program, and him and I started together. We were mortal enemies at first. We had.
Yeah, arch nemesis, I would say.
I would look at him and say, "Look at that Hispanic guy, ugh," and he would look at me. He'd be like, "Look at that Middle Eastern guy, ugh," right?
Ugh.
But it wasn't until I saw his magical, incredibly magical performance skills when he's giving presentations. This man has training in, I don't know, the dark arts of theater or whatever. So I'm like, look, man, I heard you want to know how to draw Mega Man, and I want to learn how to present. And so we looked at each other. We put our, biases aside, and then we became friends. We did this art trade. We still hated each other. We didn't admit it, but we did hate each other. So eventually we moved in together. We figured if we lived in the same place, we could learn faster. It wasn't because we were friends or anything. That'd be
No,
disgusting.
that's disgusting, and I don't want to talk about that.
No, we're still not friends. And so once that happened, I spent, what was it, 2 years? We were in
Roger that. Yeah, I think so.
that Pasadena apartment, and then I graduated, and you continued to be awesome working, and that's who Steven is. He's a cool gentleman, great concept artist, very awesome illustrator. He has a profound knowledge of anatomy. He could point out any muscle. I pointed to my arm. I'm like, okay, what muscle is that? He's like, well, that's please, that's a quadricep. And I'm like, wow, you really are good.
That's obviously the biceps maximus.
I remember we were walking in what's that place called in the state of New York, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and there was this sculpture, this Greek sculpture of a back, and we walked past it, and I guess you were proving your knowledge of anatomy, and you go, oh, that's the Baximus Maximus.
Oh, oh
uh,
god.
anyway, so
Only you would appreciate that. That's the thing.
it was brilliant, and I'm sure if anybody overheard, they're like, yeah, yeah, it's definitely the
It's
Maximus
totally the
Maximus.
Maximus Maximus, totally.
Yeah. All right. So back to the topic of this creativity. We talked about that there are these expectations, right? And we often go on autopilot in working under those expectations inside the box. And then we also acknowledge that there's also working outside of the box. And I believe that that's where the best creativity happens. But to do that, there's a risk taking factor that you have to do, et cetera, et cetera. So what are the things that why do we fear leaving that box of expectations, and why do we fear going into that realm of uncertainty and curiosity and wonder? And I think personally, I think we as humans are control freaks. We want to be in control of exactly what's going to happen. We want to be curating a very specific outcome, whether it's a production of a song, music, a piece of art, or whatever. And so that stifles us to stay within the safe zone, aka the expectation box. We also, as humans, want to be admired. So we want to make sure that our work is good enough so that people like us and praise us, and so that, Patreon and whatever. So there's that factor. We also fear that our work is going to be judged, right? All these people are going to have their eyes on it, and if it's not as good as, Mr. Person who works at so and so and whatever, then we fear that it prevents us from posting stuff online and all that. But actually, something in regards to that, a lot of people do have fear of putting their artwork online. But let me tell you, here's my belief, and that no matter how good or how bad your art is going to be, there's so much art out there that, yeah, while some good pieces do pop up in the top ranks here and there, but they still get lost in the ever-flowing stream anyway. Like, it's a huge ocean of art. It just doesn't stop. And so, like, if you're worried about it sucking, let's say you do put up something that sucks, and some people see it and judge it. Who cares? It's gonna get lost in that world. I'm watching Steven draw. It's going to get lost in that world anyway. So, yeah, no worries there. So, Steven, do you have any fears that keep you from?
I think you hit the nail right on the head with a lot of that. I
That's
mean,
what I try to do. Yeah.
my yeah, you always do too. My New Year's resolution was I can't let you, like, I can't just let it go. Like, if you say something, I got to be like, and like hit it with the little. All right, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked.
All
But
right, I'm switching to my screen.
the reason that I picked the New Year's resolution that I did, my New Year's resolution for this year was to post my sketchbook all year. And the reason I did that is because, exactly like you described, I have historically had a pathological fear of putting anything of mine online. Like, no matter how just off the cuff it was or how low pressure it is, like exactly what you described, I always felt like, ugh, no one wants to see this. Why would they want to see this when there's a million other things to look at, and there's stuff
Yeah.
that's so much better than it? Like, there's no reason for me to put this online. And yeah, I realized
Especially
that
if you didn't draw something with giant boobs, then, like, why would anyone look at it anyway?
that's always the winner. Always the winner. And just never felt that mine were adequate. Never came out enticing enough. But yeah, so I picked that New Year's resolution so I could try to overcome that in some way. And it was all fear, exactly like you described. It was all being trapped in that zone where I knew people were going to judge me, and I hadn't put a lot of stuff online already. It kind of becomes this vicious cycle, because if you haven't been posting a lot, then it becomes more like, if you are going to post this, if you're just trying to start off with a sketch, people are totally going to think that this is the absolute best thing that you're capable of, or else why would you post now after years of silence? So that kind of builds up and spirals out of control after a while, I think. So if
Yeah.
anyone's going through that, I recommend you just bite the bullet and just post it, and then keep posting so that people catch on that you don't do one drawing a year. That probably helps.
I always thought, you just did one drawing a year. So, yeah, and speaking of that, so let's say you do something really good, right? And then it does resonate with people. Then there's like a different kind of fear that comes up, and it's that, well, my next one could never be as good as that one, you know, as my previous piece. And it's like you kind of
that's the worst when you're
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the worst when you're beating up on yourself about yourself. Like you had some previous success, but that's not good enough for you. It's just ruining your day, and you keep looking back at that old piece, and you're like, man, why am I not doing that right now? How am I messing this up?
Yeah.
Spirals out of control fast.
Oh, dude, I wanted to show you something.
Okay.
Wait, I'm going to switch to your
Get
screen
secret.
just in
Whisper.
case I open something.
Stop talking at normal volume. If you're going to show me something, whisper.
Okay. All right. So it was this really cool thing that I saw on the internet.
Yeah, okay, I love that stuff.
Do you remember? Do you know the company Capcom?
Yes, I know Capcom.
All right.
They're good.
So do you remember the video game Mega Man?
It's a loose memory. I think I remember something like that.
It's such a great game. Anyway, I found this figurine.
Oh,
it's
snap.
so freaking cool.
Oh,
Look
snap.
at this. Look at that.
That is it.
Dude, I want this.
Nah, dude. Oh, that's the coolest thing ever.
It's posable.
Oh, it hurts. It's hurting my body, man. Oh, the backs of his legs open up with the jet thrusters.
Dude, there was also a gray one. Where is it? Oh, this. Oh, dude. Like, I would love that as reference on my desk, but it's like $180 or something.
Dude, that is so cool. No, that's raw inspiration right there. It's just so fun. Why is it so fun?
Have you gone Maverick? Oh god, the PS Vita version of Mega Man was weird.
That was a good weekend at your place. That was fun for me.
Yeah, Mega Man's fun.
Yeah, I just like sat in your bedroom and didn't talk to you for 2 days and just played your Vita.
Yeah, you unlocked like the ability to play as Vile,
which was the best thing that ever happened to me. I honestly think. What could be cooler than that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, so my most recent. Did we finish talking about the topic? Well, we'll get back to that in a second. Actually, I guess this is related. My most recent Instagram post, which you wouldn't know about because you're an awful
Indeed.
friend.
I only see your stuff when I go pursue it directly.
Okay.
Well, just being honest, I don't know what to tell you.
Cool, man. Okay, if I go to my site. By the way, my site is upgraded to VPS server, etc., so it's much faster.
Oh, you did it? Mission accomplished?
Wait, why isn't this page? Oh, I changed my username. Of course. It's now Ahmed Alduri art _ instead of just Alduri art. Because people are calling me Alduri. I'm like, yo, okay, but I'm okay. Anyway, so I did this. I wanted to draw on, like, you remember back in high school, you know, some teacher was droning on about history or something, you know, irrelevant to your life, and you're like, I'm just gonna draw stuff on my notebook.
Totally.
All right, so I was thinking, like, there's a lot of pressure when you're looking at a Photoshop canvas blank screen, and you know you're supposed to make something beautiful on purpose. But when I was drawing on this, it made me, there was no pressure at all. It's like it's just another sketch as if I was in class, and so I did that, and there was a lot of creative freedom. I'm like, I was going with the flow. It's like, this piece doesn't matter. Then I painted it in the Photoshops, and it was fun. Highly recommend it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's a great way to do it. And again, there's that pattern breaking your process thing that just it brings your brain out of it and lets you do your best stuff a lot of the time.
Yeah. I was afraid that people are like, I know it's a stupid, it's one of those fears, right? I didn't want to post that because I was afraid that people are going to be like, what, are you trying to trick us that you painted that not digitally on a piece? It was a dumb.
Well, we always find something to be afraid of, right?
Yeah.
No matter what.
Our brain is desperate to like protect us, to make sure, and so it comes up with these delusional justifications for why you shouldn't go out there, you know.
For sure.
Our brains are silly. Our brains are silly gooses.
They are. They really are. And I love the loose leaf thing. I've been really wanting to start stuff traditional and finish it digital, kind of the way we did in Kato's class for the final.
Yeah.
I've I've had that on I've had that on the brain for the past couple days, actually. I just haven't had a chance to sit down with the paint and do something yet.
Two things. You reminded me. So Cato Art Center. I miss school. It's been a while. But have you heard or seen of the new facilities for entertainment design?
The new rooms up at Hillside?
Yeah.
No, I have not. I've, just gotten the emails, but I haven't seen anything about them.
Tommy sent me a picture. Dude, it's like, so you remember where the prop room was? I think that's where it is. They tore down all the walls and built this whole new area, I think, for entertainment design, and there's just rooms full of Cintiqs and comfy
What?
spinny chairs and whatnot.
Like trans?
Yeah, but better.
Better than trans's room? They had a huge room.
Let me clarify, when he says trans, he means transportation, not transgendered. I just have to say that.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, that's not fair. I kind of want to go back and check it out and pretend I'm a student again. Also, look, I'm watching your drawing. I mean, how are you inking that? Is that Manga Studio? Tell me about line art. How are you doing line art? That's amazing.
It's the hardest thing to do with a tablet, isn't it? But no, I'm just using the regular hard round brush. And,
yeah, but is that default, or do I have to buy it on Gumroad?
It is default. It really is.
But should I still buy it on Gumroad though?
You should absolutely buy it on Gumroad by going to PayPal and searching my email and sending me $5.
Oh man.
That is the only way to get it. It definitely isn't the brush that Photoshop literally opens with the first time that you open it.
Yeah, but how do you do the line art?
Well, first I get a sheep and I drag it out into the woods.
A sheep, not a sheet of paper, a sheep.
No, a sheep, like a sheep or a ram or a goat even would work. Take it out into the woods and say some incantations over it. If you want to draw runes onto its fur with like bird's blood or anything like that, that could help a little bit. And then what you want to do is very quietly slaughter it without it seeing the knife so that the adrenaline doesn't ruin its blood. Then pull out the entrails, throw them in the air, and when they land on the snow and doth stain it into the eternal timeline, therein will lie your answer.
That's how you do line art.
Yeah, after that, your line art will go great. Don't worry about it. That's all it takes.
I can't believe you just gave that away for free and not even try to sell that on Gumroad.
I had to pay $20,000 for school to learn that, but I think that people should have it for free, honestly.
That's, well, okay. A lot of people disagree with that.
I'm a believer. I'm a believer.
Oh, like a Justin Bieber?
Don't give me that. Don't do that. You know I don't like that. I know you can't see my face right now, but it's not good. Very upset. Very upset that you said that.
You keep talking. I'm going to talk into the chat.
Okay. You're answering some questions?
I'm just saying haha.
Ha 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 ha. Okay.
I guess I could just say that into the mic.
Yeah, I think they're listening.
Hey, question. So you live in California?
I do, yeah.
When was the last time you had In-N-Out?
2 weeks ago.
Oh my God.
Whatever you're imagining, it was better. Yeah, I think they got better. It's weird.
What?
I think they made it more delicious, strangely.
So one of our friends from Art Center, he's from the Seattle area. I'm in Seattle. And he had claimed that there's this place called Dick's Drive-Thru Burgers. He's like, In-N-Out's good, but Dick's is better. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not going to just be like, no, man, In-N-Out's the best. I wanted to say that because that's actually the truth. But
Sure.
We go to this place, and I couldn't tell the difference between what I ate there and McDonald's. So.
Ooh, that's rough.
Ugh.
That's not good. You never want to hear that. You never want to hear that. That's got to be embarrassing.
It was, yeah.
Not good for anybody.
Anyway, so creativity.
I'd never. I'm from New York, and I'd never had Shake Shack before, and I had Shake Shack for the first time in my life in Dubai, not in New York. Yeah,
Wait, Shake Shack is a New York thing?
it's a New York thing. Yeah, if it didn't start there, its most fanatical ardents are in New York. Yeah.
All right.
And the first thing I saw when I walked into a shopping mall in Dubai was a frickin' Shake Shack. So I was like, yeah, this is a sign. So I just had it right then and there.
Let's rewind a bit. You were in Dubai
I
before
was.
me, and I'm Middle Eastern. Tell me, where did you when you got there and you saw a bunch of people? Were you like, hey, all these people look like Med?
Not exactly. Not exactly.
Were they like, you know, trying to like convert you and whatnot?
Oh boy, I gotta be sensitive about this. No, no. Dubai is actually surprisingly mostly expatriates. Well, maybe not surprisingly. I'm sure a lot of people know that, but yeah, most of the people that I met there were like French and from the UK.
Mhm.
And the when you're walking around in public and stuff like that, the majority of people are actually not native Emiratis,
Okay.
which is,
Wait,
that explains the whole there being a Shake Shack and a Chili's and a Texas Roadhouse thing.
and not like halal carts everywhere.
Yeah. Which is what I wanted. I mean, that's what I wanted when I went there. I was kind of disappointed that it was so hard to find anything cultural.
Wow. We still have a friend over there right now, don't we?
I think everybody's back right now.
Not Catherine?
No, she's back for now. She's
Oh,
here
okay.
for like another month, I think.
All right.
Yeah, I saw her at work yesterday.
Um, okay.
So people are around. People are around. But, they'll all be sucked out there again.
Are you going back?
No, no. At least I hope not. I hope not. I had a really good time doing work over there, and drawing is very fun, and drawing for clients is always fun, and there's always the sweet fun of the immediacy of like doing stuff right in front of them and all that.
Mm.
But I just, the more I think about it, I think it was just eating Applebee's every single night, like not even every single night, but like twice a day. I think
Oh,
that made my body feel so bad that it made me really homesick and I didn't want to be there. Yeah.
it's the weirdest thing just happened. Let me just share my screen to explain. The moment you said body, I opened this file that is bati, and I was like,
Bati.
that is funny that you said that. So,
That's
isn't that
crazy.
crazy? Isn't
It's
that crazy?
Faye. It's Faye, also cool robot.
Thanks, man.
Now take it off your screen so I don't have to look at it. Stop it. You're triggering me.
Listen, Steven. How dare y'all? Okay.
How dare you?
So, yeah. I'm just gonna do a whole bunch of robots so I can post on the grams.
Excellent.
Hi.
Hi.
Anyway,
How,
so.
how did we get on Shake Shack? I don't know what happened. All right, where are we on the show notes?
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me pull that up. So, so what did we talk about? We talked about the expectation box. Let me switch to your screen because I'm talking. How to approach genuine creativity by forgetting the expectations and sort of letting yourself release your inner child or whatever you want to call it. Approaching it with curiosity. So as when we were kids, we all automatically by default had a sense of wonder. You look at things, you take in the world, and when you draw, you kind of interpret whatever it is that you're feeling, even if it's a scribble of what you think looks like Batman. If you ever saw my Batman drawings, you'd be like, "What is that?" So anyway, so we talked about that. We talked about why we fear, and so we want to be in control, we want to be admired, and all these things. So the next thing is like, how do you distill the idea of creativity in a more, I guess, categorical way? And I think it was best said from my art director currently, David Longo. He worked on, he's been in the industry for I think 20 25 years or something. He worked on Fear, if you've ever played Fear. He worked on Gotham City Imposters as a art director and modeler and artist, all the stuff. So anyway, he's also a really good figure artist. So from life drawing, he can do some pretty cool drawings. Anyway, he said it this way, and that there's three components. There's inspiration. So, and I talked about this before. There's inspiration, observation, and imagination. Inspiration, it's, what do you like to see personally? What does your Pinterest of favorite paintings look like, or your favorite characters, whatever? That you're inspired by that stuff. There's also observation. So what is real? How do you define real? That was your cue.
I mean, ha.
Damn it! We didn't even plan that or anything, but I was wondering if you'd pick up on it. All right, what is real? How do you define real, etc.? Insert Morpheus meme here. And the third component is imagination. So it's like dreaming while you're awake. So in that state of wonder, you're imagining stuff, and you're allowing yourself to do that without worrying about, well, people aren't going to like it, right? So once you jump into that, so you allow yourself to be inspired, you're observing the real world, so you learn the technicalities of perspective, the technicalities of anatomy, color, lighting, and then once you learn those rules, you can break them using your imagination, right? And so I think those are some important components of creativity. And if you want to add to that, Steven.
I was totally tuning you out. What were you talking about?
That's offensive. So first you unfollow me on Instagram. You join my live stream, and you go ahead and ignore everything I'm saying. That's pretty offensive. I don't know if I can trust you anymore.
Fine, just unfriend me. Just don't ever talk to me again.
Okay,
no problem.
Steven.
No. I think David's totally on point with the triangle and inspiration and observation. I think that creativity comes in different forms for different people, and I think, again, we talked about this before. We spent a lot of our time together when we were living together talking about it.
That time sucked. That was awful. Nothing done. All we did was eat.
No, all we did was go to Carl's Jr. It was horrible. And then we'd be like, man, we can't have so much Carl's Jr. So then we would just make like a whole duck at home and then get sick.
Dude, we got so sick from that duck that we roasted.
That was too much duck, man. That was way too much duck.
It was delicious though, but we didn't know that you're not supposed to eat a whole ton of it.
No, yeah, no. I totally fell for it. Yeah, that was bad. What was I saying? Totally forgot what I was saying.
We were something about creativity.
Right.
When we lived together, yeah.
Right. When we lived together, a lot of what we talked about was like finding a way to understand what's going on with yourself in your head, and I think a big part of understanding your creativity is taking that step back and analyzing what you're going through and figuring out for you if you're more a person who draws inspiration, who draws their creativity from inspiration, from observation. Are you more the kind of person who's just totally crazy and your main drive is just doing the work?
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely people who are like that. And I know for me right now, I'm trying to, I would say that like what I did when I stopped looking at art, a lot of that was, that's kind of like a hard move away from inspiration and trying to kind of skew the inspirations more towards what I observed and more towards what I liked from real life. And I learned a lot about that from my time off with looking at art. And, like I said, I'm still in that, but it really made me realize, like, after a while, I was able to like close my eyes and ask myself, like, if I try to picture something awesome right now, what is it? Like, what really is that without having had any recent visual input? And God, sometimes the answers were really surprising. Learned a lot.
Huh. No.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Being a dad is awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Hey, no, never mind. Too
What?
soon. It's too soon.
All right, fine, sure.
So what's his name? So Hazard Hero. He's saying these things in the comments. He wants to hear the more of the British voice. I don't really want to do it. However, that's quite a lie because I do want to do. I like to show off whatever it is I'd like to do. And so, do you know what I mean, Stephen? Have you got one too?
That was great. Top 10. No, I don't do impressions. I'm historically
You
very bad at them.
you're an actor. You're also a liar. You're the best liar I know.
I am a great liar. I'm willing to admit that in a very truthful way, but I'm also horrible at impressions. When did I ever do impressions with you?
Oh, I guess I haven't. I just assume that you're good at impressions because you can, you know,
Oh,
act.
no, my greatest weakness. No.
Yeah.
More on the emotional side, less on the you think I'm somebody else side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, so Fernando's teaching a class. It's awesome.
he is. That's pretty ball.
What was
Yeah.
it?
He teaches art of research.
What, are you serious?
He does, yeah.
I thought it was history of entertainment.
No, he teaches art of research.
You're telling me I had to take art of research for under a totally irrelevant, and then I could. Wow.
Yep.
Harsh Hashanah.
I was jealous too, and I never even took art of research. So
And are you good? Okay, so what's the deal, man? Are you ever going back to Art Center?
it's really expensive.
Yeah, you don't need to, obviously. You got it.
It's like it is just so pricey. It's pretty crazy.
Are they? I cannot do. Do you have the YouTube thing still open?
The chat where people are asking questions and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that open. What's up?
Our friend with our favorite name asked a question. I can't do a Scottish accent, by the way.
I don't see the question. What am I
Never
looking
mind.
for here? All right, fine.
Anyway, called. So,
What was
what else is new? What's up, man?
what else is up? What else is up?
We're about 8 minutes from getting to an hour, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, time flies.
Jeez. All right. God, I was gonna do I was gonna say that this was like a regular level monster, and I was gonna do like a mini boss and then a boss. That
I
sounds
like the
better.
way you did the smoke.
I'm kind of going through this phase right now because like I love drawing with ink, and I'm the past week
Hold on.
Oh.
So, Dane UM asks, guys, is this Ross Tran that is talking with Ahmed?
Huh?
Do you think you're Ross Tran?
For the record, I sound nothing like Ross. And if you want to put me and him in a room together and prove that, I'd be happy to do it. Yeah. You guys
Oh,
can't
man.
see right now, but my eyes are twitching a lot.
I gotta give him a call. And next time I'm down there, I'll see if he wants to do a collab episode.
You have to call the Ross.
I haven't talked to him in a long time.
I haven't
Anyway,
seen, I haven't
what were
seen-
you saying? Something before I interrupted you with that question?
I was saying that I love drawing with ink, and like for the past week, I've been trying to do that, trying to get that feel in digital, not in like the look of the drawing, but the immediacy of it. So, because there's something really great about, I think materials like ink kind of force your nervous system to come out.
Oh,
When you can't erase and you're not doing like a painting where you have all these steps and there's layers and there's managing all these subtleties,
that's suicide.
it's a little bit suicidal, but it also forces you to almost, I think deep down it's making you only draw stuff that you really feel something for. Like maybe it's not super significant, but maybe it's making you be a little bit more honest with yourself about what you're willing to risk on.
Wait, define ink. It's like a little inkwell, and you're using a one of those quill pens. What do you mean ink? Like, is it just a
Sure.
ballpoint pen?
I'm using like tech pens. I'm using the Pentel pocket brush pen, stuff like that, all kinds of things. But also, yeah, dipping into an inkwell and just using a brush.
Nice.
Really, really, any way to get to the ink material itself. But I'm really just caught up in the way it makes you think when you draw directly with it. Like if you don't have an underlay and you're just going for it, yeah, I think it brings out your nervous system. So I've been doing that a little more with my sketches, digital even too. Like I'm taking my left hand off the keyboard, and I'm just leaving the
What?
zoom. Yeah, I'm just leaving the zoom locked, and I'm just like putting my left hand under my butt and just drawing, and just doing it like I would with paper.
That is brilliant.
It feels good. It feels good. It makes you stop like zoning out on the zooming in and out thing, and it kind of just makes you work everything at scale and prioritize again and just put it down like nah, you know.
That sound was awesome.
That's how I feel though. That's how I feel.
Um, yeah.
You said that we're almost at an hour, right?
Oh yeah. So I was gonna say we could totally go longer. There's no.
I'm fine to keep going.
I'd
Maybe
like
I
to keep painting this. That'd be fun.
maybe I'll try
What,
to do a mini boss. I'll see if I have enough time because alternately I could just paint this guy up a little bit, but let's see what I can do.
one thing. What's it called? And I think yeah. So changing things, making a difference in your physicality, totally affects your work. And for me, I just switched to standing desks at work.
Hmm.
So they gave me one of those that you could press the button and the whole thing goes up and all that stuff. Um, and I definitely work differently when I'm standing, and it's a good thing. It's like sort of pushing yourself outside the familiar comfort zone and just doing something. And it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I
Uh,
bet I gotta try that. I remember a while ago you were talking about how you took your sketchbook into bed again and how it totally flipped your brain around. I love that kind of physical
yeah.
stuff.
It was the
That's
best
good.
because I was like all comfy. I was like, you know the foot oven, you know the foot oven,
Oh,
right?
I know the foot oven.
That
You
was going
converted me. I
down.
do the foot oven now.
You do the foot oven now?
Yeah. I know I fought it a lot when you were here, but
Yeah.
like as soon as you left, it kind of made me remember you.
Man, well, whenever we shared a bed when we lived together, I don't know why we did that. But
Yeah, I
you
don't
never
remember at all either.
you wouldn't do the foot oven. That was
No, I
I remember that
refuse.
very distinctly.
Yeah, I did not want the foot oven at all.
Oh man. Anyway, so should we tell them what the foot oven is?
Go ahead, explain it in graphic detail. Do a
I don't.
diagram.
You're better at explaining things. I think.
Okay, sure. So the foot oven is a psychosis that Ahmed has, where if he's laying on a bed, couch, desk, back of a car, anything, and he's covered with a blanket, he has to start rubbing his feet together, like really hard, like slow and with a lot of pressure,
Feels so
so that
good.
so that they generate friction and a lot of heat. And he's got like all these rules, like he knows exactly where he needs to put like the bulge of one metatarsal into the sole of the other foot, and he says that certain socks produce more friction than others. Yes, yes, he is crazy. No, none of that is true. Sure, it produces a little heat and it does feel good, but I wouldn't say that it's a science like you claim it is.
You're
Like,
anti-masseuse. That's what you are.
yeah, well, I still don't go in for the foot massages or anything like that.
Anyway, how's Deirdre? How's your girlfriend? She's
She's
awesome.
good. She's good. She's great. She's over in the other room watching the last episode of Downton Abbey, I think.
Oh, that's a show with British people.
It is.
I remember when you mocked that show in front of her. That was yeah, that was funny.
I would say that there are times when she draws very little amusement from my jokes. She does not like that one bit.
Mm, mm. Every time I dip baby carrots into a bowl of sriracha, I do think of you guys.
Yeah, you think of Deirdre?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well, no,
definitely.
I think of both of you because you're there on the couch in your J. Crew V-neck, and she's there with the bowl of sriracha and um, carrots, and that's the imagery that comes up in my mind.
Real fam. Yeah, yeah. That's still going on a daily basis, I would say. Yeah. It's
Okay,
all.
so
You also got to try the boar's head hummus. That's where it's at right now too. That stuff, dude. That stuff tastes like there's meat in it, which makes sense because boar's head makes it.
what is it?
Boar's head started making hummus, and it tastes like there's meat in it.
Oh, no way.
That's great stuff.
Someone just asked a pretty important question. So sometimes, like in these live streams, we switch to the chat, and does anybody have any questions? So I'm just going to take a random question,
Sure, sounds good.
and this is a pretty good one. And Sai Sankar asks, "Can you make a tutorial on how to get a girlfriend outside of the art group?"
Oh
And
god.
Aylin Kamia says, "I want an artist boyfriend too." So
Oof.
how do we address this? Now I'm single. I've chosen to stay this way for a little bit longer so that I can become a quadrillionaire first. But
Quadrillions of dollars.
you're not single. How would you give advice to those of us that are stuck in the art world, but we are interested in pursuing a female or male or female that is not an artist? What do you think?
Oh boy. First off, I don't know if I'm qualified to comment on this
Dude, I'm just taking a joke and running with it.
in any way. All right. If you are trying to get with someone who is not an artist, I would say the best thing you could do is never mention that you're an artist. That would
Oh,
probably bring up your chances.
done.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing. You might lie and say something cooler, like you're a football player, or you mine coal, or
Coal
you
miners.
you pick up poop at the zoo. I would say any of those is probably way cooler. Probably a better shot there. And if it works, keep up the lie forever. Because the day they realize how crazy you are and how many hours you have to spend alone drawing ridiculous things, it's over.
Mm.
You're not gonna
We
like that one
do
bit.
we do spend a lot of time alone as artists,
Yeah.
and that actually had me worried. I was thinking like if I do eventually get married and have kids, but I do my best work when I'm spending a lot of time alone, and I don't want to you know neglect this potential family that I might have. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to handle your business. I mean, great things were done by people who really went nuts and avoided the whole familial thing. Like Sargent didn't have a family, didn't pass on any progeny, and you know, it's very tempting to say, "Oh, I could be like him if I stay like that." But I bet there's a lot of people who did that, and they're not remembered the way that Sargent is too. So it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I guess Norman Rockwell was also a father.
He was, yeah, and the way the stories go with, well, that's the thing. Norman Rockwell was a father, but I don't know if you've ever heard, but he was
I
kind
heard.
of, yeah, he's not exactly the world's best family man.
But we do know that what's his name? The one artist who does the awesome art, Ian McCaig.
Uh-huh.
What was
Yep.
it, Ian McCaig?
I think that's it. Yeah.
He's a father. He has
He
two
is.
children.
Yeah. He doesn't
And
seem to be suffering art-wise.
Greg Morelands, he does the concept illustrations digitally. He was the father of digital concept art.
Oh,
Greg
yes.
Morelands.
More
He, he
Rams. Yeah.
he has kids.
Does he now? Seems impossible.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I went to the Craig Mullins workshop. Man, it was awesome.
Lucky ducky. I don't know
Yeah.
why I said that. I mean, I could have gone, but I made my
I,
choices.
I went out of my way at the end of it to speak to him and be like, "Yo, look, I went to Art Center too. I'm from Ohio too. Hi." And he's like, "You need to leave right now."
I'm surprised because that sounded so cool.
Yeah.
You sounded really cool the way that you
Whoa!
talked
I
to
just
him.
switched to your screen. I didn't even realize you were doing the mini boss. That's awesome.
That's a mini boss right there.
Are
Can
you?
you can you imagine what the boss would look like? Stay tuned.
Listen, I'm a real video game designer, so I know how to look at this and imagine it in real video games because video game designers.
Shh, don't tell them how impossible it is.
No, actually, I can see that as a boss. That's pretty awesome. He's got a cool bird skull as a head or something.
That's right, baby. That's right, baby.
Now, I know you're all about getting good reference if you're doing something. Do you have an actual bird skull?
Not with me, but I was looking at this. God, I should have had like my Pinterest open this whole time or something. If you just said that I'm good at getting reference for stuff, and here I was just doing it all off the cuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, well, I didn't make up a bird skull, and that's not exactly what a bird skull looks like. It's just I've seen a
Okay.
few. That's probably more like half beaver, half bird.
Yeah. Yeah. So you hit on a pretty good point that we could talk to the audience about, and it's that you didn't make up that bird skull. You drew one before in the past, correct?
Sure, yeah.
Or multiple ones, and then you embedded that knowledge, and it became a part of your mental library. And earlier we were talking about, observation being one of the pillars, the 3 pillars of creativity, and a lot of people overlook this. They figure that when they see a lot of artists online doing art, or the artwork online, and if it has, a cool, character, and he's got all these rippling, perfect, awesome muscles, but there's this assumption that these artists are just making these up without ever having studied anatomy.
Sure.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. I did for years and years when I was young doing art. I assumed that all the great art that I was seeing was the magical ether spinning of these geniuses that were looking at nothing while they did it and just pulling it out of nowhere. And there's a certain degree of that, but you realize how wrong you are pretty soon. It's interesting though, because I think that I was thinking about that the other day, and I think that there's something like indicative of where you're coming from if you started out that way. Like, looking back on it now, I think that if I thought that when I was a kid, that is probably because that's what I wanted to be true, and that would explain why I got into more imaginative art later on in my life. I don't know if that's true, obviously. That could just be total retconning, but it feels true, and I choose to accept that as my reality. Yeah.
Yeah, why is Cat always yelling? Sorry, I'm reading in the chat. Cat, stop yelling.
Cat, why are you yelling?
So Catherine and Savani and Ashley, I think Ashley as well, a couple other people, familiar names, they're also in the Sketchfoot challenge. Ashley, are you in this? Are you in the challenge? I don't. Yes. No. Oh God, there's like a 5-second delay. So if I ask a question, it's gonna take.
Yeah, just take your time. Take a breather.
Please answer me. Please answer me.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She's in the challenge. There's a. Okay. There's a lot of Sketchfit challenge people. It's fun.
Great.
Dude, it's week 3, and I did
that went so fast.
Leg day today. Dude, there's over 170 people trying to burn some calories.
Yeah,
for this book of sketches.
Yeah, that thread count is just nuts.
And thanks, by the way, for being the admin of stuff as well.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for giving me the power to indiscriminately ban people.
I should revoke that immediately.
Yeah, I'm a power abuser, for sure.
I know that. I wanted to, give you that power for a little bit.
Thanks for the cheap joy.
Yeah. Did you see Deadpool?
I didn't. I was actually trying to see it alone one night, and it didn't work out.
Okay.
It did not work out.
I'll stay quiet.
Yeah, don't say anything because I'm still planning on seeing it. Sorry if that was like your plan for the whole second half of the stream or anything like that.
No, I'm not going to put any spoilers. Viper1390 male asks, "What can you squat, Ahmed?" I don't know. I I okay, I guess I did leg day today. At the gym at work, we don't have any proper squatting anythings really. So the closest workout that I had to anything that resembles an actual squat would be the leg press using those muscles, and I don't even remember the amount. But I'm not very strong yet. I'm only recently starting this whole thing. I also did do what is called the Bulgarian split squat. That really hurts your muscles. I did that. That was pretty fun.
That is quite a name.
Yeah, you have a bench behind you. You let one foot rest on that, so you're putting all your weight on one leg, and you do squats on that one leg, and you just destroy it.
Ooh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
That's animalistic, man. That's primal. That's Radio City Muscle Hall.
No, nobody knows what that is.
Hmm.
Okay, let's. I'm gonna take some questions. All right, people, start asking questions. I'm gonna answer them for a little bit. I'm gonna go back to drawings. Izar Raful asks, do you speak Spanish? A little bit. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Me llamo Brad. Me gusta bistec. Me gusta comer. Just kidding. Pero
Bisteca.
sí. Pero Esteban, tú hablas español. Tú eres de Colombia, ¿no?
Yo hablo el español. Me gusta salir con mis amigos.
¿Y qué haces cuando salís con, whatever, con tus amigos?
No tengo amigos.
¿No te vayas al cine?
No, nunca. Yo digo que yo salgo al cine, pero yo voy al parque y lloro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jorge Saldaña, muchas gracias. What is your favorite song when you work? What is my favorite song? I tend to listen to a lot of video game soundtracks, movie soundtracks, and yeah.
I do metal. Do a lot of metal.
Metal. I go in and out of metal.
It really depends how tired I am. When I really need a boost, it goes to metal fast.
Now there's different a range of metal. So you have like power metal. You got power metal. You got death metal. All these things. What's your favorite kind of metal?
I don't really know how to draw. I'm not like a musical person at all, so I really don't know how to draw the distinction between different subgroups like that.
Mm.
I do like a lot of prog rock. I love Jeff Loomis. I love both of his solo albums. Those have gotten me through many an all-nighter.
Nobody knows who that is. So
Symphony X's Paradise Lost is an old standby.
Symphony X is great, man.
That is good stuff. Recently, at work, an album called Phenomenon by Within the Ruins has been getting me through, which is a really nice heavy metal album that is actually based on superheroes. It's pretty great.
Oh, cool. Dude, send me a link to that tomorrow.
It's good stuff. You would like it.
Okay, Mudpick isn't sure if we actually don't speak Spanish or if we're fooling around. Wait, is your Oh, thanks, Omar. I keep forgetting Omar's here. Omar, dude, I miss you. Every time I go on a hike, I'm like, this hike sucks. It would be so much better if Omar was here guiding us.
It really is better with him every time.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. To clarify, yes, Steven actually does speak Spanish. He's awesome at it. I speak college level Spanish. Pero yo sé que la verdad es que tengo que aprender más. There we go. And etc. Watashi wa amedo desu. There's my best Japanese.
Nice.
All right, I speak. What are the languages? I speak Arabic. And that one line in Japanese, Spanish, but that's it. Okay, so Jesus Aguilar says, I still want to be so good to draw anime. Cool, man. Oh, I guess that wasn't a question. More questions. Give us questions. Okay.
if you want to draw anime, do as your heart desires.
Yeah, you do what you like. Don't be afraid of what people think of you. Je ne parle pas le français. No. Colby Autry asks Ahmed, what sort of ugh, I have to scroll back up. What sort of sources do you draw from when coming up with your own character concepts, genres, for example? Steven, I'll let you answer that one first.
Uh, Lately, I've been trying to figure out what really gets me going outside of the art that I'm familiar with and trying to reintegrate that. And I'm kind of on a kick with artifacts right now. Like back when I lived in New York, I would spend a lot of time in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and
Great place.
I
It's
would
free.
love. It's my home. That is my home, I think, because my family has moved around so much that I don't have like a home with my family in it in my mind anymore. Just that museum is my home. But when I would go there, great times. I would spend as much time in the artifact rooms as I would in the painting rooms. So that was something that was really returning to my memory in my time off from looking at art. So I've been trying to get that in there, like when I draw something like this, like I'm thinking of samurai tengu masks that I've seen in the Asian art wing. Uh, this whole thing, like what I have going on my screen here with this kind of maskish, skullish looking face with these two parts that are opening up. Like this is based on transformation masks, which are these things that I think they're of the indigenous peoples of Canada, like way up north.
Wow, that's pretty
In
cool.
in their rituals, they make these. I'll do a quick sketch over here. They make these masks that are like they'll have like a let's say they have like a long bird beak or something like that with some cool design like painted shapes, etc. Comes down like this, and pretend there's like a head fitted in here, but this whole long beak is empty. And then what it does is it opens up in hinges all the way at the back, and there's another mask on the inside.
Oh,
And
Russian doll status.
yeah, dude, it's so cool. And they use it in their rituals like to, emphasize a story moment where something has happened to the god or the main character has gone through some kind of change. And like of course when the mask opens up, the two halves, the shells that are on either side, they have like new designs on the inside that are like feathers and things like that. So I can't get enough of that.
Wait,
I think
I
that's
got a
the coolest
Snapchat
stuff
from
ever.
Kat.
Whoa!
It's funny because she's in the comment or the chat. All right, Kat, let's see where Snapchat is.
Well, this one would be good.
Oh, yeah, I know. Seriously, I anyway. Um, what was I going to say? Yeah, for me, what sources do I draw from? In terms of genres, I don't know. If I'm doing fantasy, I'm gonna look at forest stuff, spiritual like elements, and try and incorporate that within the design. But lately, in terms of character design, so part of your character design is writing. So trying to you don't even literally have to write it down, but coming up with some form of solidified something about the character. So lately, what I've been doing is drawing inspiration from people I know. So if I was to design a character, before it would be like, okay, what are the coolest shapes? Okay, what kind of weapons? Blah blah blah. But now it's like, I'm trying to think of people who I went to school with. I'm like, what would he be as? For example, I work on Guild Wars stuff, and there's a race called the Asura. They're like these little alien-looking dudes, whatever. And I could have just drawn it and made it look really cool, blah 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 blah, based on what the expectations are. But then I put a spin on it. I was like, okay, wait. What if Steven was one of these characters, right? And instantly, I knew exactly what he's supposed to look like, and I did the same like feeling that you get when you look at Steven. He's like this. When he wants to be, he could be really sinister and threatening, but he's also got this like trickster look. And when I drew that, it felt that way. And I sent it to him. He's like, dude, that's me. And I'm like, yeah. So I also did a couple more characters based on people I knew, and for some reason they resonate so much more than just, okay, cool silhouette, big giant sword, right? Because you put a bit of personality in there. Okay, I'm gonna move on to a couple more questions. If you want to become a character artist in the game industry, is it crucial to learn 3D modeling, or can you get away with being a fantastic 2D artist? And what I'm going to say is I am a 2D concept artist, and I do both characters, props, environments, the whole deal. I don't know 3D. I wish I did, though. I'm actually doing an art trade with someone at work who is a 3D character artist, and he's coming over here on the weekends, and he's showing me ZBrush and Maya, 3D Coat, and all that stuff, and I'm just sharing my knowledge on painting. And so if you can, learn 3D, because it's so useful, especially if you're on a small team, because you can wear many hats. So you don't need it, but it's definitely going to augment it. So, God, I'm trying to scroll through the thing and it just goes. All right, wait. I'll go back up. No. All right, Q Cream, I'm gonna ban you. And I know you're doing the Sketchbook challenge, so don't make yourself stupid here. God, I hate when I do that. I can't keep up. I'm trying to read the questions, and then the thing keeps going. Too many questions.
Fire everything.
Guys, stop talking for a second. That's just gonna make it worse. Okay, Jorge Saldana, he says, Ahmed, when it comes to drawing the figure, I feel comfortable working from reference. However, I have a hard time constructing the figure when going through ideation of characters. Suggestions? Yeah, I think, honestly, do stick figures. Like, draw a stick figure on a page and try to come up with as many poses as you can, right? Because if you're doing just a stick figure, you're distilling it down to basic elements that represent the limbs, the torso, etc. And if you do that, you get a feel for gesture. I think Steven's going to do a demo, maybe, of a stick figure. Is that what he's doing? No, he's just drawing something. Oh, wait, no. Yes, what he's doing right now, I think, is a great example of what you can do. There it is. God, I forget how good you are at this stuff. So you're able to come up with different designs, and that to me is kind of like a stick figure because it's simplified, distilling the shapes down, and it's a great exercise for coming up with different things. Chelsea, sorry, I missed your questions. Type it again at the bottom so I can see it. Is self-study possible? So Lubu Art has, is self-study possible, for example, going on art trips, finding workshops, and building skills without a traditional education? I'm curious if you know someone who tried it or is thinking of. Okay. So yeah, it is totally possible, and I still consider myself to be mostly self-taught. The only thing, like, sure, I went to art school, etc. But what I learned from art school is mostly the design elements of things, so how to design, and of course there's the mileage of just being around people that do that, and that's incredibly useful. But if I was to go about the same path and I did it on my own, I think I could still get pretty far. Keep going down. Oh, come on.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of examples out there of people doing it totally on their own and becoming super incredible. So.
Yeah. Eileen Kamiya says, I want to start uploading videos of me making art, but I'm afraid people will be mean and hate it. How do you deal with the haters?
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah, like I said earlier, be vulnerable and put it out there. And if they do hate and they don't like it, don't take it personally. And if anything, try to actually see if there's genuine criticism beneath all the hating. And you can use that to your advantage by improving your work. Yeah. Potato's going to potate. What happens if you don't like 3D? So Mudpick says, what happens if you don't like 3D? I studied 3D for 3 years in college, and getting to the end of my career, and I realized I hated 3D, and I have been studying 2D animation ever since. Yeah, if you hate it, I'm not sure why you're doing it. But even if you think you hate it, there is maybe it's just that you hate it within the context of how you're doing it. You can always find a way to make something like that and fall in love with it. So there's still that. Uh,
Yeah, maybe you do really hate it, but if you haven't tried, try to go through a phase where you really try to figure out how you can get the stuff you like doing into it, and you might turn it around. Just use it as a design tool and be freer with it, and you might find you love it again.
Chelsea, I found your question. How do you find the perfect pose for your drawings? Because it is hard for me to find it, and it will. All right, there's got to be like autocorrect. Ends up be with a clear canvas and you scream. So what Steven just did in the screen earlier, can you go back to the top left,
Uh,
or where you had
right.
those things?
Yeah.
So do a lot of these, right? So once you're capable of just coming up with all these different dynamic poses, right, then you have it in your library. But let's say you're starting a character and you don't know what kind of pose to pick for him or her. That's where the writing part comes in. So earlier I mentioned you sort of draw from people that you know. Uh, you can take that and what's it called? Like, what is the character's pose? Is he a villain? If so, what's the most like intimidating, scary pose that you can come up with? And just asking yourself that question, you automatically start to fill in the blanks. Your brain is familiar with what is scary, what is heroic. So if your character is a hero, there's a very heroic pose, and chest up, arms to your side, like strong and all that stuff. Or if your character is trying to check his watch and see what time it is, you do exactly what Steven just did. Um, so that's what I would say. Uh, It's Freak says, I know that there are a lot of questions and people asking, but I would really be glad to know how important a degree is for an immigrant looking to work out of his country. So I don't know. I don't know because, well, let's see. The people that I do know who are from working professionally from out of the country, it's half and half. Some of them have degrees, some of them don't. But if it's in this industry, um, I would assume if you're just that good, a degree doesn't matter as much. But I think maybe through when it comes to visas and stuff, having a degree might give you more sway. I don't know. But I do know of instances of people that do and don't have degree, and they're from outside of this country. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I would say the main consideration there is probably the visa if you're trying to go somewhere to work in studio.
Yeah. Um, I'm reading more questions. Um, but I'm just gonna say words as I scroll. Just do it. Do it. Catception. uh, what is the most important point when you draw? Color, anatomy, story. I don't understand the question.
I would say that it depends on what you're going for, which is really vague, but a drawing, try to remember that a drawing isn't anything. Like, it's a miracle that we can make marks on paper and that they can look like stuff. Like, it didn't have to be that way. The universe's laws of physics could have been arranged completely differently. So they're just dust in the wind. They don't have to be anything, but they could
All they
also
are is
be.
dust in the wind. Sorry.
Exactly. So they don't necessarily have to be anything, but they could also be anything that you want. So if you want to do a drawing that's all about color, like those James Jean acrylic life drawings that are perfectly drawn but also really about the color, you could do that. If you want them to be totally about value, like an old romanticist painting or something like that, you can do that. And it's just adapting your ways of thinking for whatever you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Pinchevik says, I'm having trouble creating faces. When I draw them separate from a face, I find it pretty easy to draw them, and I like them. But when it comes to put a face together, I don't like them. Any tips? What? Wait, are you saying when you draw faces from reference, it's easy, but when you're... Do you get that question?
What was the question, Ian? Could you read it again?
When I draw... Okay, I'm having trouble creating faces. When I draw them separate from a face, I find it pretty easy to draw them and like them. But when it comes to put a face together, I don't like them. Any tips? I,
Maybe he means separate from a body?
oh, yeah, I didn't get
Maybe?
that part.
I'm not sure.
Do exactly what we talked about with the figure studies, because if you can understand the posing of the bucket shape of the head and like how it's aimed down, there's always a top side and the cylindrical sides as a relation to the body in those poses, then it will feel more natural. If that's what your question was.
Also, if that is the question, if you're really nailing your heads on their own all the time, try drawing the body first and leaving the head
Yeah.
last, like its payoff. I went through a phase like that.
Yeah. Kat says, I throw down colors on Photoshop like it ain't nobody's business. That's why Kat is like awesome. You know, she's a bit of a leader in my eyes. She's taking the lead. You know, if you go to the Sketchbook forums, she's like commenting on people's stuff. She's like, you could do it, and then she's like, she made this video of like, you know, she's like being really positive and uplifting for other people, but for herself, she was having negative thoughts and blah blah blah. But being authentic and honest and like that, creating that feedback loop was really good. She's doing really great. So there's that feature for her for doing so cool. Yeah.
Very luxurious. Very luxurious.
Oh my God. Oh, dude, by the way, when my sister was here, she brought the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, babies are awesome.
They are. They're small people.
I want like 100 of them. They're small people. uh,
You could have 100 of them, but your life would probably be really hard.
that's a lot of women.
It's a lot. And if you tried to do it with one, well, the highest I've ever heard is 15, I think. So good luck hitting that 100. But you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Go for the gold.
Mudpick says, thank you for the Canadian mask info. I'm looking at them, and they're incredibly cool, and it actually helps me with this current project. So
I love that stuff. Love that stuff.
Oh, so back to that strange question that we didn't understand. I think he meant the features of the face, how to put them together.
Oh.
So that's an issue with proportions and relative locations and stuff. I wish I could just switch to my screen and just sketch out what I'm thinking, but I don't want to reach over to my laptop, and so.
The features are tricky. Just focus on the big shapes of the head and how they. I guess I'll doodle something.
Yo, this is fun, by the way, this live streaming stuff.
Oh yeah, no, this is good. I'm starting to loosen up. It's pretty, starting out very stressful, and makes you lock up a little bit. There's that fear again. There's that.
Oh, there it
fear.
is.
There's that sweet fear.
We live in our delusional minds.
So that when you try to do this too early on, where you just like do the features, unrelated to the head,
That's you.
They can totally. They can slide out of proportion, and they're not in the right place. And this is totally fine to do once you're, nailing things down more. But until then, you can just work on, always just focus on the big shapes of the head and the way they relate to each other. So do your thirds, and when you're doing like the eyebrows, try to do left eyebrow, then right eyebrow, and relate the shape of the nose to the eyebrows, and then when you put in your eyes, relate the shape of the eyes to the nose and
This is
the
good
eyebrows.
stuff, guys. Pay attention.
And always be like cross-referencing. Like think of the head as a whole for real, and don't just think about the mouth, but think about what is this mouth compared to the cheeks and to the eyes and to the head, and try to nurture a holistic understanding of what's going on with the whole head and the bones, and after a while it'll start to click, and then if you need to, you can always just jump right into doing only the features.
Yo, you drew Obama on the left.
I look a lot like Obama.
Oh God. Here's a pretty good question, and somewhat inducing of controversial topics. I'll read it in a
Cool.
second after I
Great,
see the
great.
Snapchat. By the way, I hope you're all following me on Snapchat
I'm not.
because you should get back on Snapchat, dude.
I don't have
Dude,
any.
that's like a mix of me and you.
Perfect.
I gotta buzz my hair again.
It's the higher forehead because mine has like this little peaky stuff over here. What the heck was I doing? Over here.
Inception. All right. Anyway, so this question by Sai Sankar. Question. Slants face.
Question.
I like to draw provocative stuff like the orgy scene drawings like Kim Jong-gi does. I personally think he's a genius, but my question is, am I a pervert?
Yes, of course you are.
No, let's talk about this.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm just poking fun at the. It's like one of those like if you have to ask kind of things.
it's okay. Since we last kind of you and I were in the same vicinity, and you've heard my rants about this kind of stuff, yeah.
Sure, yeah. I've been on the other end of the rants.
My views have somewhat changed quite a bit. I know, right?
How open-minded.
Shut up, Steve. All right, so I'll just shed some light on what I'm talking about. I often complained whenever I saw over-sexualized things in media and games and stuff. It's like I used to be like, oh, that's ridiculous. They're just using a crutch. They're just cheating so that they get more views, blah blah blah, and it's objectification of women. And we're not. I shouldn't even talk about this stuff on my channel. I don't want to get political.
Hey, if you need to reel it in, feel free. It's your show.
Yeah, I know. But lately, it's like there's nothing shameful or wrong about sexuality. My stance now is if that's what you like to do, and you don't have any restrictions, like I have religious restrictions. I wouldn't be drawing like porn scenes or anything. But if you're not and you're comfortable with doing that, then there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're doing that and you're putting it in front of 13-year-old boys in video games, like if you look at Legend of the Cryptids, a lot of that was super pornified, and the demographic for that game is like 13, 12, 14-year-old boys. I think that's kind of unethical to an extent because it's, like I did say, there's nothing wrong with sexuality, but at the same time, seeing women portrayed like that early on, I think could have a negative impact in how they perceive women, and also I don't know, it's a rough topic, but I don't think you should be ashamed of having desires to draw sexually attractive humans, right? No, that I said humans. So yeah, I wouldn't say you're a pervert. I just say you're an honest human being. Humans like sex. That's a fact. We could go around pretending that we don't. We could go around pretending that it's a shameful thing. We could pretend that that we're all very, I'm going to cut it off there. But yeah, so yeah.
All I'll say is that drawing enticing imagery probably has a longer artistic lineage than just about anything else you can come up with. So, Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Just Google cave paintings.
Cave paintings, they are nude. If you look at a lot of old artwork, a lot of nudes. But
cave paintings. How did I break it?
Just scrolling through. What has this become? Steven's channel? How? What do you mean it's become Steven's channel? This is my channel. No. Oh, it's because it's on your art. Yo, I'm just lazy. I'm not drawing. I'm just talking. All you would see is video of me, and we want to at least see some artwork.
They don't want to see this artwork. The people have spoken.
No. I think they just. Is that what they meant? Maybe they just meant like they would prefer that it's your channel. Hey, someone said Steven plus Ahmed baby. I think they want us to have a baby.
Well, you know, there's some physical barriers, but what does that mean?
So, let's see. There was another question, but I'm not going to even say her name because whatever. I have trouble with drawing the same person over and over again, and this is a problem for me since I'm doing a comic. Is there any advice for how to stay consistent in the features? So what I would say is if you're drawing a character, sort of, they call them, what is it called, a design Bible? So for example, the movie Atlantis, our character teacher brought in this thing called like a Bible. It's more like a dictionary or a reference of like the character. So you kind of establish an orthographic of your character, so you know what they look like from all sides, and you can constantly practice drawing that over and over, so that you're familiar with the proportions, you're familiar with how high the eyes are in relation to the nose, to the mouth, to the chin, like Steven was showing earlier, as well as their build and body. So if you have a reference just constantly posted on your wall, you can always check that. Another good question. Where'd it go? Yeah, that was pretty good. You're drawing something in your, so this is from Dane. You're drawing something in your sketchbook. It ends up being ugly. What do you do? Erase it or leave it? I say erase it. If you don't feel comfortable with how your art is looking, and you know you might be tied to this idea of, well, I gotta keep it pure or whatever. But no, if you want to make some part of your drawing look better, just erase it and do it. One of my favorite quotes from Ian McCaig is if there's something wrong with your drawing, just murder your darlings. Even if you're in love with that part that you drew, if it's not working for the whole piece, erase it and redo it. What is the time over there right now? It's 9:11. God, of course. All right, well, I guess that wraps it up. That's it, because I'm the FBI. The FBI is coming for me. It was fun having this channel. This has been great.
Oh my God, that's funny.
I'm a very peaceful person, but it's done. It's done.
Oh man, that is too good. That's great.
Ay, ay, ay. Wait, I got another Snapchat from Kat. No, I didn't. Did I? Oh, yeah. Oh, she typed something.
Of course.
Yeah. Cool. I guess I'll get back to drawing so that if you want to talk about anything. You can go to the chat and read questions if you want.
Oh God. Oh God. Let's see here.
I do it, man.
What's going on here? What's going on?
Yo, yell out some things for me to draw. Quick, just yell out anything. Yell out anything for me to draw.
Like a koala bear?
I can't draw koalas.
Well, if it's like a kangaroo, though, right?
Okay, so a robot koala bear kangaroo.
Sure, rock on.
Because I have to draw robots only.
Let's see. What are your advice on changing career paths? Career paths.
Oh, this is so much easier when you're reading the questions.
Yeah. Thanks for giving me so much time. Advice for changing career paths. Figure out that career. Email people. Ask them questions. Try to make friends. Try to get as close to it as you can.
Wait. When you said email people, now they're going to email me with a bunch of questions. Thanks.
They already do that.
I know. It's just going to get worse now.
You'll be fine. By
the way, I'm sorry to anyone that I haven't got back to. It's so many emails. I can't do it. If I answer everything, then I don't have time left for doing art.
Yeah, 0 times 0 is 0, so you won't feel that increase in email sent if you're not responding anyway. So yeah, send emails. Send emails to your favorite YouTube artists. And when they don't answer, just send another one, because it's probably just that they were eating lunch and they really wanted to answer, but they forgot. That's all.
So in the koala bear's pouch, because he's a kangaroo as well, do we put another baby koala? What are we thinking?
No. You put like a baby viper, right? And it's like, oh, where do you find that viper? Like, why is a snake in there? And it's like, oh, you don't know everything about me. If I want to be friends with a viper, that's fine.
Well, I can't. I think a cobra looks cooler than a viper, so I'm gonna draw that.
All right, rock on. That's your artistic choice. That's your taste. And I don't agree with it, obviously.
I'm not gonna live up to your expectations, because, like we said earlier,
True that, man. Amen, brother.
So how are the questions?
Let's see. Let's do the other thing.
Gotta pull up a picture of a koala. I don't know what they look like.
Let me go up a little bit. Okay. Da-da.
I was way off.
Of the question I made earlier about the features, I think it might be a problem with visualization and not being able to do so. Any with being able to visualize before you go to draw. Visualization is a very strong skill, and people have it to different degrees. But I think for everyone, to one degree or another, you visualize, you put it down, and then you assess the depth of your failure, and then it comes down to how well you can recover. So, whatever you can do to work on your visualization, you go right ahead and do it, but also, really learn how to bank on your ability to improvise and come back from things. And after a while, that's going to feel like visualizing.
Hey, you like the koala?
Dude, that looked exactly like a koala.
Yeah.
I thought there was 2 koalas in here.
Great movie. Yo, that's actually happening in real life now, Idiocracy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I don't.
We're not going to mention any politics here.
No. We can't talk about that. Stop it.
I'm voting for him. What? I like his political incorrectness. I love it.
You're a monster. We can't get into this.
Yeah.
We could do it later.
Yeah.
Find more questions.
Carlson.
So long, Colby. All right, that was the question. Do either of you guys do any 3D work? We touched on that before. Well, I didn't answer. I do quite a bit of 3D at work, whether it's just to spin around models that somebody else on the team has made, and then I draw over them, or stuff that I do completely from scratch and do renders of. And it comes down to the project, what the project needs, and also comes down to the client. Some clients are really savvy, and they react really well to drawings, and other clients don't get it unless it's a full 3D render with awesome paint over it.
It turns out kangaroos actually lean forward a lot.
Yeah, they would.
What about the jerks?
I'm always comparing my art to other people's art and feel bad about my art and stress out. How could I not do that?
Did this person not see the whole first half of this talk?
Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time, I guess.
Oh, yeah, they might have just jumped in.
Okay. Do you know how long we've been going?
Well, we started at 7:30. It's 9:17 now, almost 2 hours.
Okay. Maybe you missed this in the beginning, but for my money, I went through that. I was always comparing my art to other people's, and it made me feel bad, and it started choking me up after a while. So what I did, I actually went on a detox, and I unfollowed everyone, all artists on all social media, and I stopped going to ArtStation and DeviantArt and all of that. And
but DeviantArt's so amazing. There's a lot of good pony paintings of ponies.
Yeah, and that was what I missed the most, honestly. Yeah, I felt that withdrawal daily. It hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might sound a little severe, but I'm still kind of going through that. I haven't really gone back to my old ways. I think I'm better off like this. But it might sound crazy, but if it really starts irking at you, give it a shot. You might be surprised what comes from it. Drawing repeatedly or drawing variously, which one was more effective way to improve your drawing skills, you think? I would say both. Draw a lot and draw a lot of different stuff, and the cross-pollination of things you learn will accelerate your learning exponentially.
This is the worst thing I've ever drawn.
Oh, I've seen worse.
Oh, yeah. Hey, by the way, back back at Art Center, Steven and I had this class called Architecture 2. In this class, we had to design environments, both for video games and movies. But also we had assignments of designing real places like theme park and cafes and whatnot. I did one on The Legend of Zelda, and I did this one drawing. I'm not going to describe it, but Steven, do you still have that?
Yeah, it's around here somewhere, I
Can we
think.
can we burn it?
I think I'll hold on to that one in case you ever decide to run for office on your politically incorrect platform.
Oh man.
Just
Oh man.
always, just always know that the ICBM is ready to go, and it will wipe you off the face of the earth.
That cannot surface. That is probably the most offensive.
I'll
Well,
tell you what. I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. I'll cut you. I like you. I like you. So when I move, I won't look for it, and if it doesn't come with me, then that's that. It's over.
wow, that's very kind of you.
I think that'll be the best way to handle that.
Are they asking
Let's see.
what the drawing is?
What are some ways to get What are some ways to get connections as well as market myself in art if I'm not going to school? Facebook has a lot of people on it, but there's also a lot of art directors on it. And
LinkedIn. Surprisingly, I didn't know, but people in the professional industry, they do look at LinkedIn.
Is that true? Dang, dude.
Yes.
I have like a million connections that I'm just sitting on, and it's so hard to get over there.
More so for video games than I noticed for theme parks or movies.
Yeah, I bet. But yeah, do LinkedIn. And fan base, fan art. It's always a good way to go.
Yeah, just put a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, people can connect very easily to stuff that they already know.
Okay, I guess I should check my Twitter. I don't know how to Twitter, by the way. You people tweeting and stuff.
I lost where I was in the questions.
I think they were asking how to draw anime, so.
How to draw anime? I don't know. Ask a master. Ask a master anime artist. Do you have salty Instagram? I don't know. I've never tasted Instagram, but I imagined it more bitter.
I think they're asking there's somebody named Salty there, right? I think they're.
Oh yeah? I don't choose to believe that. I think they want to know the flavor of Instagram. I say bitter. Bitter.
I don't have any messages in my Twitter. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you think traditional mileage or mileage digitally is more important / useful? I think any way that you're practicing drawing is going to help you draw, but there's certain aspects of traditional that need to be practiced traditionally, and there's certain aspects of digital that need to be practiced digitally, which is kind of a bummer because it just means there's like twice the work, right? But it's sort of true.
Hey, this koala kangaroo is turning out pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. It's so awesome.
It could be a boss in Mega Man.
It could. It could be Snake Koala. Bum 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 bum. What Steven just said may make you lose some subs. Ahmed, LOL. I don't doubt that's true. I consider it tax.
Wait, what was the question?
It said it wasn't a question. Someone just said what Steven just said may make you lose some subs. And
what did you say?
I don't remember, but if somebody gets offended and they take it out on you, I'll consider that an achievement.
Yes.
And it always feels good to take out Goliath's eye. So just keep rolling with that, and I hope it happens again soon.
Yeah. I used to worry about losing subs and stuff, but it's like, if I'm gonna censor either you or myself or whoever, whatever I do, it's like I'm not gonna be fake for people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, life is short.
Yeah. We're all on this planet together. Let's make it happen.
We were all put here to hate each other. And the most natural thing you can do is hate other people.
Yeah.
Really.
So Ashley says this should be the new Australian flag. I agree.
That's probably better than what they have now. I mean,
What
I
the,
haven't seen it or anything, but
yeah. Speaking of Australia, speaking of Sydney, Australia, speaking of Finding Nemo, I'm pretty excited for uh, Finding Dory.
yeah, I bet it'll be amazing.
P.
Make
Sherman 42 Broadway, Sydney.
I can't believe that you can just spout that off.
What? P. Sherman 42 Broadway, Sydney. I could say
Yeah.
it again because I memorized it. Because when I'm around you, I remember everything.
Uh,
Someone just tips for an interesting composition. Diagonals, just tons of diagonals.
they do help. They really do help.
Okay, well, that goes back to like, what is your composition about? If it's about loneliness, what kind of composition would sell the idea of loneliness? And so what you would do is isolate whatever your focal point is around a lot of, emptiness. But if your composition is about, overwhelming stuff, so you just have a bunch of stuff everywhere, and then your focal point um, would still be visible, but it wouldn't be so. It would sell the story. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's right. Every picture has every picture requires a new solution. So it's best not to get caught up in too many rules and just really ask yourself, what does this picture need, and do that and trust it.
Yeah. Oh, Panda Pew asks a pretty good question. Are you still drawing, by the way?
Me?
Yeah.
I stopped. I'm drawing right now, but I had stopped for a while answering
All
questions.
right. Oh, got some lighting going on there. That's some cool lighting from the top light for the lighting. That's really cool.
Just a little.
Dude, they didn't even get to see how you must have cheated. You must have used some 3D rendering program to get the accurate lighting. Is that?
Yeah, man. Ran into Moto real quick, put it in Mari, took a photo of my best friend's dog, and then photo bashed it into a picture of a mech, and then pulled an engine out of a car, and then threw it quick into SketchUp, and boom, done.
That's what I was about to guess. Panda Pew asks, what are the biggest issues you've had working with game designers, programmers? I'm going into game design now, taking programming, etc.
Take it away.
I wouldn't know. I have no idea. All
No
right,
problems
so
here.
the biggest issues I've had working with game designers, programmers is like, okay, as a concept artist, you have a vision. You have this idea, and to you can visualize it and it makes sense, and you do a painting, blah, blah, blah. But oftentimes with programmers or engineers, I'm not bashing them, I'm just saying this is things I discovered. They can look at a painting and just shake their head and be like, that we actually can't do that, right? And so that was one of the biggest things so far. It's not a bad thing. If anything, it just presented a new obstacle to overcome, turning a breakdown into a breakthrough, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. So in a way, it was a difficulty in that I couldn't just make a character with super high resolution for the thing that I was doing at that time because there were limitations, and that presents a problem, and you make a solution out of it. So there are programming limitations. Game designers, however, the people that are writing how the game works, how it plays, I wouldn't say there hasn't been any issues at all, really. But yeah, so that's what I would say. So I would recommend understand what limitations might be out there because of technology, and then work around that if you're starting to learn this stuff. Howell Z asked this a couple times, and I keep ignoring it, so I'm going to answer it. I am 16, currently working on a game for Skills USA State. We won first regionals. I'm an artist on the team. How do I go about doing the concept art? Whatever your project is, whatever you and your team decided to do, always, I don't know how much time you have, but do an adequate amount of research. And let's say you have 3 days to do this project. It might be a month or 2 months or 3 days, whatever. Allow yourself to do adequate research in such a way that you have a range of things to choose from. And once you've done that, narrow it down. Like, don't try to do everything at once. And if you do that, you'll just spread yourself thin, and in the end, you won't even have like one thing that you wanted it to look like, whatever. So doing the concept art, you have the decent research, etc., and you get a lot of feedback. So start off with just sketches, right? Because you don't want to jump in and have finished work right away. Do some sketches of your ideas, communicate your designs, and you show it to them, and do it without any bias. So you kind of put it in front of them and just see what they think and how they react. Do not take it personally. The moment you take it personally, it becomes about ego and blah 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 blah. But understand that their reactions have some kind of genuine resonance, and you can use that to your advantage by improving your work. And then you take that, you do the concept art, move it on to color, painting, whatever, and you just watch my other tutorials on talking about this stuff, like they're saying in the comments. And yeah, do you have anything to add to that, Steven?
Just remember that all people are people too, and try to remember how you might be making them feel, and that everybody's under pressure. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, listen, I have to go to the restroom for like a moment. Do you mind handling the couple
Oh
minutes?
yeah, I'll tell them all your secrets.
All right, cool. If you do tell them all my secrets, don't tell them about the blue cup.
No, that's off limits.
All right. Okay, cool. Thank you. I'll be right back.
All right, what's going on here? All right, I'm totally going to try to blow through as much stuff while Med is gone. Wow, I wish I remembered. Oh wait, working on a game? All right, he answered that. Can't hear them. Answer my question, Ahmed. I'm going to beat you up. That's cool. I always approve of beating up Ahmed. Can you hear me? Who knows? Ghost Samurai Warrior with dragon wings. I thought I was drawing a loaf of bread. Spooky. Glad you're scared. Kind of cool. Let's work more towards cool. Tengu. I love Tengus. Can you guys tell how to do studies properly, values and color studies? Pick a focus on what you're trying to achieve. Maybe it's a proper 1, 2, 3 read. Maybe it's rolling form, or maybe it's getting really moody lost edges, and focus on that and do whatever it takes to pull that off in your study. I'm a new artist. I want to get an art internship. What should I start on for my portfolio? If you know where you want to intern, focus your portfolio towards the kind of stuff that's useful for them. If you don't really know, show a concise portfolio that shows a strong understanding of fundamentals while applied to more applicable work, and don't let it get unruly and really wild. Only show your best stuff. Just do it. I approve of that. How to learn about color. Practice a lot with it and spend a lot of time outside, maybe not even painting, but just like really looking and talking to yourself about what you're seeing color-wise. And color studies. James Gurney's books, affirmative. Color studies on color, yeah. Meds tutorials, cool, hearing them. Still going on this chat. Steve, take it all quickly. Yeah, I'm a total machine. Do people think it is okay to use a 3D program to get pose references like DAZ Studio and whatnot? Do anything that you can. Do anything that you feel comfortable with. If you like DAZ, if you like getting models to start your bases, go for it and be shameless about it. And just make sure that you have enough fundamental knowledge that you can tell when it is wrong, because even the best 3D programs, their perspective can be jacked up, and the only way to tell is if you know your perspective. I wonder if Ahmed will see the drawing I sent him. Maybe there's about a 1 in 20,000 chance. Steve, how to fight the art block. When you get that, when you're sitting down at the piece of paper and you get that feeling that you're bored and you're not having fun anymore and you want to leave, go take a quick walk, come back, try again. If you still have the feeling, that's when the most important time to sit down. Just force yourself to sit and work through it a little bit and fight to do something that you have always found fun. Like go back to your childhood and just forget everything that's going on around you and dive in, and I bet that'll hit your block hard. I bet you'll be feeling good. Med's back. I wasn't saying anything.
Did you tell him about the blue cup?
No, never. I told you that.
All right.
I would never betray you.
Anyway, I got a
So
banana though.
what were you doing in there?
It was the best time of my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Cool, man. Sounds awesome.
What I miss?
I was machine gunning questions.
Albert asks, I'm wondering how much scholarship ACCD gives entertainment design. Do they give more scholarship depending on how you do in later terms? So every semester there is if you're in the program, and I think it's uh, for everyone in the school, it's not just entertainment design, but there's a scholarship review, so you can keep submitting your portfolio, and depending on the score that you get, you can increase the scholarship that you get. I don't know if one program gets more scholarship money to give out than the other. However, I do know that entertainment design is a much smaller program, so I'd assume that those students may get a bigger chunk because there's only like what 20 or 30 students per semester,
Something like that, yeah.
whereas illustration it's like 100. I don't know. I actually don't know how much they have. You're welcome, Dane, for answering these questions. Those bananas so good. My favorite bananas are when they're like still kind of green. I don't like that mushy stuff.
Don't like that mushy stuff.
What do you do? Um, hey, we got to put on a show sometime. Yeah, you gotta come to Seattle and we'll do a show.
What kind of show?
Like where we write a script and we perform absurd scenarios,
I'm ready.
almost
Yeah,
improv, right? And it would be really fun.
totally. Works for me. My body
When will
is
the
saying,
next stream be? Is this going to be a regular stream? I don't know. Ashley, I don't know if you noticed, but I went to the kitchen after the bathroom to get the banana. It did not come from the bathroom.
uh,
I don't know. I'm thinking about doing a weekly stream. I don't know if you guys enjoy it. Maybe we'll see. I'll see if Steven is up for it.
yeah, man, I can get with it.
Salted asks, anyone know someone who has gone to SVA? If you know Rebecca Sugar, creator of Steven Universe, you do. Yeah, I actually do know some people who I work with at ArenaNet from SVA. They're very good. So I guess, yeah, cool, I guess.
Cool, man.
Have you guys heard of AIE, Academy of Interactive Entertainment? I just went to the open house in Seattle. Oh, you're here in Seattle, cool. And you can't get any degrees or anything, but I find it's a good price and I like the people. Yeah, I mean, you don't need a degree. Like I hear this all the time. I work with and next to a lot of higher ups producers, and when they're hiring people, they're never like, oh, this person's work is great, but they don't have a degree. It's more like I don't care if they have a degree or not. If they can prove that they can get the job done and do an awesome job, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But if it's a place that you can learn a lot from, I don't see why not. Will I visit Indonesia someday? Asks Chelsea.
Like taking a trip to Indonesia.
I would like to. I would like to do an Asia trip, like Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia. The good old 3-point punch, whatever. Yeah, why not? Um, can I put an Aussie cork hat? I don't even know what that is. How does illustration work at a company? Asks Dark Shuriken. Do they get hired on staff or are temporarily used for promotional art? For us at ArenaNet, the illustrations that we produce are just done by the concept artists. We don't outsource or hire people who are only illustrators. We could. I just don't. I'm not familiar with that. I don't know. I don't know. Does Thinkwell
No. I'm on staff. We don't have any people who we just bring in short bursts. I think the people who do that mostly are more advertising and marketing companies. I think they bring in more straight illustrators who they have like a lot of pre-prepared material for, and then they just focus on making like a gussy final image.
But I know like Riot, I'm sure they have a lot of artists there who are not like concept art, entertainment design, industrial people, and they have a lot of pretty great uh, art coming out of there. So they're illustrators.
Geez, my computer's going so slow running this stream.
Well, oh, your phone, or your computer's slow.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Any tips? So Dane is asking, any tips for a kid right out of high school who has 3.5 years of experience and wants to be a pro fast? In order to be a pro, you have to not want to be a pro. I'll leave you with that koan.
Nice. A mind melt going.
What's the fastest way to broaden your design library so you won't come up with cliche designs? Asks Magnitude. You avoid cliche designs by doing exactly what Steven was talking about, and find ways to be interested in totally unexpected cultural things, like the Canadian masks and how they function. How there's a mask under a mask. Like all these things that you can discover on your own. There's no like list of, hey, this is what you're supposed to design. This is what you're supposed to include in designs. You have a choice as an individual to go on your own and go out there and discover things and let those things sink into whatever it is that you do. Yeah.
Roger that.
Ashley, I do remember you now. Yes, I do. Yeah. Australia. I can't do an Australian accent. Um, Hey, that brings up a question. Where are all of you from? So I know people mentioned Brazil. Some people mentioned Australia. Someone said Seattle. Where are you guys all from? I'll wait for the delay for the comment for the answers to come in. They're always like, yeah. All right, bye, Kat. Thanks for joining. It's a pleasure. Have fun at school. South Africa. Oh, cool. New Jersey, Kazakhstan, Philippines,
Yeah.
Denmark, Mexico City. Hold up, slow down, guys. Ohio. I'm from Ohio. That's cool.
Wow.
Viva Mexico. Australia. Singapore. I want to go to Singapore someday. Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, nice. Texas. I've only been to Texas when I'm in the airport. Very cool airport. Um, Wait, stop scrolling. I wanted to read them all.
There's got to be someone has to invent a better live stream chat system.
Yeah. Indonesia, Portugal, Jersey. Hey, that's you, Steven.
Ooh, Joyzy.
Uh,
I'm from New York, for
South
the record.
South Australia, SoCal, Canada, New York, Hawaii, Washington D.C. or Washington State, Chi-Town, Chicago. Oh, somebody's from Korea and California at the same time. That is impressive.
How is that possible?
Well, if you look at quantum mechanics and quantum things, you see these atoms that turn, and you could separate them, and they're linked. But if one moves, and the other will move according to the movements of the first one, even if they're like light years apart. Isn't that cool?
Wow, wow.
That must be what this Korean Californian is doing.
It's got to be.
America, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Botswana, Mexico, New Hampshire, Canada. I'm starting to repeat myself. Oregon. I drove through Oregon. It's gorgeous when I drove from LA to Seattle. Brazil, Indian living in Pasadena, California.
Nailed it. Let's hang out.
I know people in Pasadena, California right now who are also in this live stream. QLS Australia. Thailand. America.
America.
I got to jump down to the bottom again. Romania. Daniel Dochu's from Romania. He's awesome.
There's a lot of artists over there.
Yeah, they're good at what they do.
Yeah, I see a lot of people online posting art and saying they're from Romania. What is going on over there?
They, I don't know. There. Oh, I lost my ability to middle click and scroll. Okay. Denver, Colorado. I was just there for the Craig Mullins workshop. That's cool. Speaking of Jazza, do you guys watch his channel? Have you ever talked to him? I've seen Jazza's draw with Jazza a couple times. Good stuff. The videos are a bit long for me. I can't really sit through the whole thing.
Says the
Fruits
guys who are doing a 2-hour live stream right now.
Yeah, but my videos are interesting. So.
Oh
Oh!
my God! I can't even breathe. There's too much smoke from the burn.
Luckily, anybody who quits early on is never going to hear that part, so I don't have to worry about offending anyone. No,
Well,
but
right now.
in my analytics, people actually quit 5 minutes into most of my videos.
Sure.
Fruits Rabbit is from Osaka, Japan. Nice! I love Japan. I was there for 2 weeks. Went from Tokyo to Kyoto to Osaka, and then on the way back on the train. It was beautiful. It looked like an anime. It looked just like an anime. Yeah. All right, cool. I think Utah. That's enough for that question. I'm gonna go back to my kangaroo wallaby. I'm sorry, koala. It's a koala bee.
A koala bee. Koala bee, koala bee. Oh, koala, walla, walla bee.
Cobra. I don't know what that guy was.
But I want him and his koala dead.
Dead. He's gonna have what are these on each spinal vertebrae? You got this protrusion. What are those called again?
The spinous processes?
Processes, yes, those.
There you go.
It was a zooplankton. It was always a zooplankton. Oh man, I gotta come back to California.
Yeah, Ming. I think Domenico's has a hotel now, so you could just stay there.
Oh my god!
Oh.
I forgot about that restaurant.
No,
Best
you didn't.
Italian food ever. If you're anywhere near Pasadena, California, go to Altadena. Altadena has an Italian restaurant called Domenico's. Delicious house salad. They have the secret salad dressing recipe that they will not give to me. But nonetheless, I go there all the time when I'm there. It's actually no. Every time I went back to California, they were closed because they close on Mondays, and every time it was a Monday. But still, delicious. Delicious food. Aren't you agreeing with me?
I am. I agree. I might go there this week, I think.
Nah, wait for me.
Nah, I think I'll just go.
Man, I do want to do a quick LA trip sometime soon.
Yeah, you got to.
Ahmed, I keep saying, Ahmed, please show your art progress one day. Isn't that what I'm doing, right? Like with the YouTube and stuff? Like, is that not?
I think he means your childhood art and stuff like that.
Oh, you don't want to see that. Well, I guess you do because you just asked for it. Okay, sure. It'll be a video that's inevitable. It'll happen. Don't worry. How many? I didn't even check how many people are in this live. 139 people are watching us be fools on the internet.
That's a number.
So how do you feel with such power as a moderator right now on the AhmedAlduri.com forums?
Was that a question?
Yeah, I'm asking how you feel with all that power.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
I feel just invigorated with drunken power, and I spend most of my time cackling and like looming my finger over the ban button and going ooh, ooh, as if somebody was in the room with me, but there isn't. There's no one there.
Sai Sankart. Copa Vita's great, but I prefer Earth Cafe. Hambo Lover says, really, really want to get into Art Center by the time I graduate high school, but I'm afraid the tuition will be way too much. I've been looking at Canadian animation schools, but because they're way cheaper. Do any of you know any comedian Canadian animation school that has a pretty good concept art program? Um, uh, well, this might sound irrelevant, but let me just say, I don't think anyone should go to Art Center right out of high school. If I had gone to Art Center right out of high school, I would not have survived very long, unless they've just dumbed it down and made it easier for people. Um, because the people that we started out with in our program, and they were straight out of high school, they didn't last more than a couple of semesters. Uh, and so I'd say like get some experience first before you jump into something like that. But if there are other schools that are easier, I mean that's fine. But I only have experience with Art Center. I don't know of any other animation schools that are in Canada. Um, and then we already talked about thinking outside the box, Mr.
And,
Yashov.
and we'll never talk about it again.
Just wait for this to go on YouTube and rewind. Uh, how did we choose what's art school? Shall know. Bad and Hop asks. I chose the art school because Craig Mullins. So
Because Craig Mullins.
I actually
I think it was Ryan Church for me.
I went to CCAD in Ohio, Columbus College of Art and Design, prior to Art Center, and prior to that, I actually went to community college to do a couple life drawing classes, and prior to that, I went to University of Toledo for engineering. So I didn't even go straight to Art Center. The full name of Art Center is Art Center College of Design, located in Pasadena near the Rose Bowl, if you're interested. Can I share anything from the Mullins workshop? Of course, it was awesome. He showed a demo of his this painting that he worked on for Imagine Effects. I don't know if it's released, but it's an amazing painting of an interior of this chateau or some kind of museum. It was gorgeous, but he gave a lot of really cool tidbits, and I'm trying to remember them. Steven, do you remember what I told you about him? Because I'm drawing blanks actually.
All I really remember was that he was experimenting with giant canvases.
Okay, yeah. So 30,000 pixel wide canvases. So he's got quite a machine running those. He did. So it was in Denver, Colorado, and there's I guess an art school there, and there were a lot of students at this workshop from that art school, and he was drilling them. He's like, okay, well, are you guys even studying shapes? Do you even know how lighting works? Is there even a perspective class? Like, and I'm like, take it easy. Like, he's like, yeah, because that's what it's at our art center, and that's how you guys should be doing it too. I'm like, I didn't expect that from, but I'm kind of rephrasing it in a more pejorative manner. But yeah, that was interesting. Any other tidbits? Well, there was a really cool thing. So he was talking about how he draws straight lines, and he used to use like just either a lasso tool or a mask or the pen tool, but now he'll do these. He'll do a guide for a straight line, but he'll trace over it by hand, so it's technically straight, but it has this kind of natural hand-drawn almost wiggle, and it kind of looks pretty cool when he does it. Chelsea asks, is it hard for the artist who learn to draw autodidactic to find a job? Okay, so I think you're asking, is it hard for a self-taught artist to find a job as an illustrator? If you're good, you'll get a job. I don't and I've said this before, if you are curious as to whether your work is good enough, I mean, all the artwork is already out there. You can see the standards of what is, really good. And I guess for the business side of things, it's okay to look at what is expected, get enough skill and understanding of how to do that to catch up with that with your own work. And so it is possible. I've seen it happen. In fact, if you guys are familiar with Teo Prinz, he works with me at ArenaNet. He's an incredible artist. I wish he told his stories to the public. Pretty cool stuff. But he didn't go to art school. He doesn't have to. So, um, Mr. Yashav asks, if you had to estimate how many hours have you spent purposefully practicing your art? Parentheses Malcolm Gladwell. So he's referring to the 10,000 hour rule in the book Outliers, where in order to be proficient or an expert at something, you got to put in at least 10,000 hours. And he gave studies as examples. For example, the Beatles, they apparently sucked hardcore before they were deemed good, right? So they put in their 10,000 hours at like local bars and just music gigs, and they got really good. So similarly with art, yeah, I do believe that if you put enough mileage, let's say 10,000 hours to be proficient at something, then yeah, I would say it's valid. For me, I mean, I took art seriously for a very long time. I guess since high school. I practiced it, I guess, on purpose. I mean, I always drew, but and if you calculate several hours a day times many years, was that? I graduated in 2006, so do the math. It's more than 10,000 hours. Yeah. Anyway, yes, Teo Prince is Amazeballs.
Amazeballs.
Somebody just joined the live stream like, holy crap, I finally caught this, but I was actually thinking of cutting it now because it's...
Oh god, it's probably super unruly long right now.
Yeah, I think 2 hours and a half.
Oh man, yeah. It's time to pass the great decree.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, you're coloring it. I didn't even... Here I am ignoring all the beautiful art that you're doing. Yeah. I see that you did a warrior spirit on the left. It's very spirit-like.
Mm-hmm. Much like a spirit. Much in the vein of the old ways.
Mm.
All right, so should we wrap it up? Any last things to
do? Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat. You're welcome, Kaya. Sorry, I gotta get to bed. Have I heard of DigiPen? Yeah, it's just down the street from me. I actually did a lecture, well, not a lecture, a guest speaking thing there for someone who teaches there. I don't know much about it, but I've been there. It seems pretty cool. A couple people from my workplace went to school there. Yeah. Will there be a stream tomorrow? No. What? We have lives. But yeah, well, thanks for joining in, guys.
Yeah, this has been great. Thanks, everybody.
And of course, I'd like to thank Mr. Steven Zapata for joining and showing us his awesome art.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Anytime that they want you to do a stream and you don't want to just speak into the void, I'm here for you.
It's so hard to just do that into the void by myself.
Yeah, I bet. And I would be interested in getting more practice and doing it live because I'm sure it gets easier as it goes and the stress dissipates. So.
You said doing it live.
All right.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, so stick around, everybody. Find me, and if you want to be notified about the live streams, follow the Facebook so that you get the notifications and whatnot. Also Twitter. I guess I'm doing it through Twitter as well. They're saying more Steven and more streams, so less Ahmed and less.
We'll have a good old time together. Bow chicka sure. Bow wow indeed.
Yo, she likes your face.
Oh, that's good news. I don't. We should swap. Bet yours is better than mine.
All right. Okay. Have a good night, everybody, and good morning if you're on Mars. I couldn't think of like a country that's having morning right now, so I said a planet. Classic Ahmed.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for everyone who stuck through for such a long time. That was good, though. It was fun. It's fun to draw all night, man. It's just the way to go, you know?
So probably next week, same time, 7:30 Wednesday. That's not a promise, but keep that in mind just in case. That's probably what I'll shoot for. All right, have a good night. Bye.
Sounds great. Good night.